The movie starts in the school cafeteria. Students are enjoying their lunch break when a sudden tragedy strikes. A girl begins convulsing uncontrollably, her eyes glowing before she collapses to the floor, lifeless. It soon becomes evident that she is the first victim of a deadly illness known as IAN. Over the following weeks, the disease spreads rapidly, claiming the lives of countless children across the city. Parents are left terrified and desperate as they grapple with the devastating impact of the epidemic. Meanwhile, amidst the chaos, we are introduced to Ruby, a seemingly normal teenage girl celebrating her birthday with her family, and they gift her a necklace. However, as night falls, Ruby's mother's concern grows, sensing that something is amiss with her daughter. But Ruby tells her, "Don't be worried, I'm fine." In the evening, Ruby can't sleep, so she goes to her parents' room and tells her mother in a low voice, "Don't worry, it's me." But as soon as Ruby holds her mother's hand, her eyes start glowing, so she feels terrified and goes to her room. In the morning, Ruby wakes up and approaches her mother, but to her shock, her mother doesn't recognize her and asks who she is. Ruby desperately explains that she's her daughter and reminds her of the gift she gave her yesterday. However, her mother locks Ruby in the garage despite her protests and cries for help. As Ruby continues to plead with her mother, a group from the Epidemic Control Center arrives and takes her away. It becomes clear that the government is more concerned about the surviving children than mourning the ones who have died. They transport Ruby and the other survivors to an army camp, where they are placed together. Shortly after their arrival, one of the children attempts to escape but is swiftly punished. However, he manages to control one of the officers and forces her to take her own life before being subdued and beaten. Ruby undergoes a medical examination where the doctor reveals that the children's eye colors correspond to their abilities. Green signifies intelligence, blue allows remote control, and gold controls electricity. The doctor also explains that red and orange are the most dangerous colors, with Ruby being identified as orange, making her a target for elimination. Sensing danger, Ruby attempts to flee, but the doctor catches her. In a surprising turn, Ruby manages to control his mind, ordering him to alter her test result to green to avoid detection. In the camp, the children are sorted according to their abilities and colors, with only green ones remaining. Red and orange ones are eliminated. After 6 years, Ruby is still in the camp undergoing tests. During a noise test, Ruby collapses, prompting her transfer to the hospital. There, she meets Dr. Kate, who notices Ruby's unusual reaction and investigates further. Before Kate can finish, a guard interrupts, but Kate manages to slip Ruby a note warning her that they know she's orange and will dispose of her soon, along with a key to help her escape. Ruby seizes the opportunity and flees with Kate through the hospital's back door. At the gate, a guard tries to apprehend Ruby, but she uses her powers to control his mind, instructing him to forget what happened. In the morning, Ruby wakes up outside the camp and asks Kate about the whereabouts of the people. Kate informs her that most have left for the big cities after what happened. She then gives Ruby a tracking device, advising her to use it in case of danger, as she will come to her aid swiftly. Shortly after, Kate stops the car to meet her friend Rob, who provides her with a bag of new clothes. Meanwhile, Ruby nearly falls, but Rob catches her. However, when Ruby touches him, she inadvertently sees his dark intentions, realizing he's not a good person. At a gas station, Ruby encounters Zoo, a golden girl, but she sets fire to the station and flees. Ruby chases after her and convinces Zoo to let her hide in her car. When Zoo's friends, Green Chubbs and Blue Liam, arrive, they all get into the car. Liam quickly drives away to evade Rob and Kate, who are searching for Ruby. Along the way, the boys question who Ruby is, but Ruby reveals her identity and explains that she ran away from the camp, reassuring them that she's not a threat as she is green. As they drive, Jane, a threatening woman, appears and attacks them with fire. Liam urges Ruby to take the wheel, while he and Chubbs conjure a storm, causing Jane's car to crash into a river. They also create a tree obstacles that halt Rob and Kate's pursuit. Ruby inquires about Jane, learning she's a government agent tasked with capturing children like them. Liam then invites Ruby to join them at the East River, where a large gathering of children, led by the Slip Kid, lives. They decide to rest at a hotel, but during sleep, Zoo's hand accidentally touches Ruby's, causing Ruby to enter Zoo's dream. There, Ruby witnesses Zoo and Liam's escape from the camp, along with the tragic deaths of many children. Terrified by the dream, Ruby wakes up, but Zoo reassures her, telling her not to fear, as it was only a dream. They decide to search for food and clothes, so they venture into an abandoned mall. Zoo uses her ability to restore electricity to the mall. Suddenly, strange individuals emerge and attempt to intimidate Ruby and Liam, causing them to fly in the air. However, Zoo, with her control over electricity, frightens them off. They soon realize that these strangers are just children like them, and they apologize for their behavior. Liam explains that they're there to gather supplies, and the strangers offer them hospitality, inviting them to spend the night. During their conversation, they discuss the Slip Kid and his camp, but the strangers are reluctant to disclose its exact location. When Ruby tries to coax information out of one of them, he utters the word, Edo. Chubbs searches for it and discovers a radio frequency mentioning that the gathering place is at Princess Lake, much to their delight. The next morning, Ruby asks Liam to accompany her to her house to see her family. When they arrive, Ruby sees her mother but is too afraid to approach, knowing they won't recognize her. Overwhelmed with emotion, Ruby runs away in tears. Liam comforts her, suggesting it's best to leave the past behind and join the children's camp. But when they go to the car, Jane surprises them again and hits Ruby. She can control Liam with the frequency weapon, while Zoo and Chubbs are tied up. But Ruby manages to control Jane's mind, and her friends are so surprised because they make sure that she is green, not orange. Ruby orders her to drop the gun and go straight into the woods. And Jane does what she says, shortly after Ruby faints and falls to the ground. After a while, she wakes up in the car and says sorry to her friends because she lied to them. But Chubbs tells her he knows that she is orange because she isn't as smart as him. Then they go on their way. When they find the sign of Edo, they feel happy. But while they are walking, they meet a group of strangers who starts shooting at them. And their leader orders Ruby and her friends to get down on the ground, but one of them named Mike remembers Liam, then orders everyone to stop shooting and tells Liam, "Welcome home." They enter the camp and meet children from everywhere. They go and meet the Slip Kid, and we find out that he is the president's elder son, and his real name is Clancy. However, the president deceives the public, giving them the impression that her son is receiving treatment for the illness. This instills hope in parents that one day, their children who are in the army camps might receive treatment. In the morning, Ruby meets Clancy, who tells her what happened to him in the army camp and says that they were treating him like a lab rat to find medicine that doesn't exist and that his father didn't care about his screaming. After a while, he teaches her how to control her abilities and develops them for the better. Then she goes and sits with Chubbs, who doesn't like the camp, and tells her that we eat here at certain times and we are forced to work in this place and it is like the army camp. After a while, it appears that Clancy is talking to someone on the internet, and when Ruby enters his room, he hides the chat and then tries to assault her, but she quickly walks away and meets Liam, who wants to know what is wrong with her. When she tells him what happened, he wants to kill Clancy, but she stops him and suggests running away from this place. They take Zoo and Chubbs with them but find the army camp director is there. Liam tries to fight with him, but fails, and we find out that Clancy is working with the army, while Clancy is beating Liam. The colonel grabs the weapon and sets fire to himself, because Ruby managed to control his mind. And Zoo starts electrifying the place and then they run away quickly. But the army planes arrive with children of a rare red color, and they get a fire from their bodies and burn the place around them. Shortly after, Ruby stands before Clancy and tells the rest to get out of there immediately. Also, Ruby says she will control his mind and they manage to kill a lot of soldiers. But Clancy falls Ruby to the ground and asks her to let him enter her mind. Then Ruby controls the plane and falls it on them. But she runs from the place quickly. Chubbs comes and takes Ruby with him, but because of the force of the explosion, the two of them fall and Chubbs is injured. Then, she tells him to go to the hospital and she presses on the chain that Kate gave her at the beginning. After a while, Ruby wakes up and finds herself in the room, and Kate tells her not to afraid, and says that Chubbs is in the hospital, but his condition is difficult and they arrested Liam. But Ruby says that they must let Liam go, because he is not a criminal. Kate tells her that we can't let him go, and they have to focus on fighting the president and what he is doing in the camps. So Ruby tells her she can fight with them, but asks Kate to talk to Liam first. Kate agrees and tells her that there are no problems. When Ruby sees Liam, she makes him forget their memories together, and tells Liam to take care of Zoo and Chubbs. We see Ruby alongside Kate, as they train a group of children who have unique abilities like her, to face the president's army. Thanks for watching.